Okay, class, I'm going to go ahead and go over questions 6 and 7 in this video. I already went over the previous questions on another video, so go ahead and watch that one first and then come back and watch this one. Now, right here we have a restaurant makes a special seasoning for all its grilled vegetables. So half a cup of the mixture of salt. It's not stated, but down here you'll notice that it says cups. So we're using the measurement of cups, okay? So half a cup of salt, 1/4 cup of pepper, 1/8 cup of garlic powder, and another 1/8 cup of onion powder. So when they're all mixed in at that ratio, it tastes the same. Now let's look at the different batches made at the bottom. We're given some information, but some of it is missing. Now we're going to be working in this direction, down. We're going to drill down to answer these questions, okay? So let's look at the first batch. We have, instead of a half a cup of salt, we have 1 cup of salt. Well, how do I go from half a cup to 1 cup? Well, I double it, or times 2. So let's multiply everything times 2 up here, okay? So 1/2 times 2 gives me 1. 1/4 times 2 will give me 2/4 or 1/2. Let's go ahead and fill that in. 1/8 times 2 would give me 2/8, because you'll notice that what I'm doing is this. I'll put my 2 over 1 and multiply across. That's 1 times 2 is 2. 8 times 1 is 8. So 2/8, or if I simplify that down, I get 1/4 or 1/4. So it's right there. So guess what? My onion powder will be the same, 1/4. Now let's look at batch 2. I'm not given the information about the mixture of salt. Instead, I'm given how much of the pepper I'm using. Instead of using a 1/4 cup of pepper, I use a whole cup of pepper. So how do I go from 1/4 to a whole cup? Well, think of money. 1/4 is 25 cents. 4 quarters makes $1. So 4 times as much. So I'll multiply times 4 all the way across. So what I'm doing is I'm going to take the information I know. How did we get there from the original information, and then apply that same adjustment to everything else. So half a cup of salt times 4 would be 4 over 2, or 2. 1/4, well, that's 1/4 times 4 over 1, or 4, and that's 4 over 4, which is 1. Now, when I multiply 1/8 times 4, I get 4 over 8. I just have to solve that one first, and guess what? I get my garlic powder and onion powder mixture. Now, the last batch, what information am I given? Well, let's see. I don't know about salt. Don't know about pepper, but I know that garlic powder and onion powder are both at 1 whole cup. So if I had 1/8, how do I go to a whole cup? Well, 1/8 has to equal 1, or 8 over 8. Well, what do I have to multiply 1 by? By 8. So it's going to look like this. 1/8 times 8 over 1, not 8 over 8. Because I want to end up with 1 times 8 is 8, and 8 times 1 is 8. So everything over here I'm going to multiply by 8. This is where fractions and our understanding of fractions is very important. So again, if you're not understanding fractions, never did, are confused again, then that's fine. Come in, we can work on that. So 1/2 times 8 would be 8 over 2, or 4 cups. 1/4 would be 8 over 4, or 2 cups. And guess what? We're done. Okay. Now, the other thing the restaurant does is it mixes a 12-cup batch of the mixture every week. How many cups of each ingredient do they use in the mixture each week? So what do they mean by a 12-cup batch? Well, what they're saying is they need 12 times as much each week. So how will that look? Well, what if I have 1/2 times 12? 12 over 1, that's 12. And that's 2 times 1 is 2. So I need 6 cups of salt. One quarter would be 12 over 4, or 3 cups of pepper. And again, let's solve for garlic powder, and that'll give us onion powder. It's 12 over 8. Now this is something that, again, could be confusing, but let's turn this from a improper fraction to a mixed number. 8 goes into 12 one time. I have a remainder of 4. 4 over 8. So this is 1 and 1/2. So I need, for both of these, 1 and 1/2 cups. And I'm done. So it might sound weird because it says a 12-cup batch, but what they're saying is we need 12 times as much. Okay? Now, our last question says the temperature outside is dropping 3 degrees per hour. Okay? Given that the temperature at noon was 0, what was the temperature at 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 6 p.m.? What was the temperature at T hours after noon? Now, I circle all these numbers. Now I'm going to box up everything that's important. The temperature outside is dropping. What do they mean by dropping? Well, becoming less than. Given the temperature at noon was 0, so I'm going to start with at noon was 0. What was the temperature at 1 p.m., 2 p.m.? But look, what else I forget? Per hour. Okay? So, I know I started at 0. And I'm going to drop 3 degrees per hour. Well, how many hours is that? Do we know yet? Well, not yet, so we'll use time equals x. Now let's go ahead and replace t with 1 for 1 p.m. 2. Now, the 2 is not for 2 p.m. The 2 is for the 2 hours that pass, because from noon to 1 is 1 hour, from noon to 2 is 2 hours, and then from noon to 3 is 3 hours. And over here I'll put the 6 hours at 6 p.m. So here is my expression, and I'm putting it to use right here, which is -3, -6, -9, and -18. So again, we have to use information provided and then come up with an expression, especially if it asks for the expression. Now, you might think, oh, well, I don't need it, but you'll see it makes it a little easier to understand. Okay. Again, you're going to have these types of problems on your test. Again, we have to start looking at them, and using cubed makes it a little bit easier to, well, actually makes it a lot easier to organize our thoughts and figure out what exactly is my question. Now here I didn't underline my question, but I can go ahead and do that right now and show you that what was the temperature. All this is my question. So you notice I had multiple items. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. 5 answers. Because there are actually 5 parts. Even though this is not a long question, it actually asked me 5 different things. So once I had this figured out, I was able to answer it. So again, we have to start looking and organizing our numbers, organizing what functions we might be using. What are they asking for? Does it make sense? Okay? If you have questions, again, see me after school, before school, and it will definitely help you.